Okay, I'll admit it, I am completely biased, but this is my favourite show. The Dinghy Show in London's Alexandra Palace. But why? Because this show encompasses the full spectrum of the sport. From Olympic rock star heroes to grassroots sailors, everybody is here.
I'm feeling lucky in every round. The force is strong. I'm cheering down. The Royal Empire is sleeping now. I'm soon be walking in the new realms. Breathe goes everything is go shine as bright for me.
And one of the other things that stands out is a lot of the stands, like this one, are staffed by members of the association, amateurs, enthusiasts, people who are passionate about their sailing, and it really comes across. And apart from that, there's an awful lot of people to talk to.
I'm cheering down. The Royal Empire is sleeping now. I'm soon be walking in the new realms.
But first, let's kick off with an exciting new dinghy. It's the first time it's been seen in the UK. It's called the Foiling Dinghy. Here it is. Tell us a little bit about this boat. This is very unusual, isn't it? Well, it's very different to what we're seeing in other foiling boats.
That's right, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic about this particular boat and decided to represent it in the UK for us. It's boat's built in Germany by AST Sailing Technologies. They designed this boat right from moment one as a foiling boat, and it was designed with a very, very strict principle: is how do we get foiling to everyone? How do we get the person that can sail a laser one, and it's okay, can sail a laser one competently, but actually get them flying a boat quickly? And this is this twin foil system that we've got. So with a lot of foiling boats out there, there's a lot of adjustment, there's a lot of tinkering. This boat comes ready set. Twin foils, fully retractable, so you can have it on a standard launch trolley. You can launch it in a very standard way. You can see all that on YouTube. You can just push the boards down as you go, like you would do a normal sailing boat. But from that, what it gives you, because it's a very flat hull, you've got twin foils, it's actually a very stable product. So you don't get the same pitches and wings like you do on some of the other foiling boats that we see sailing.
And so what are the controls? I mean, there are no moving parts on these foils. These are very much, well, they're fixed foils, aren't they? Tell us about what the key controls
Correct.
are.
Well, the key control is where we actually set the angle of the foils up. So that depends on how competent you are with the boat, how quickly you want to lift off and get that control. So, and we can do that by using this gauge on the top here. After that, they're self-canting. But on a starboard tack, the foils will be in a position. Through the tack, or when there's not foiling, they go to a very vertical. When it tacks onto the next tack, they will automatically change both at the same time. So you don't have to touch anything. All you're doing in this boat to foil is controlling the main sheet and controlling the tiller to steer the boat.
Right.
And that's why I think this is foiling for everyone.
This is clearly very different to conventional systems which have got T-foils and wands off the front and flaps off the back. This is very different because we're talking about two foils that basically come in at an angle either side.
That's right, yeah.
So presumably that means that there's a certain amount of self-levelling as well. So if the boat heels over, more foils in the water producing more uplift. So
That's
it sort
right.
of self-levels itself.
It does, and these will canter themselves as self-cantering system. So actually, as the water flows over the hull of the boat and the foils will actually go into the position that they are meant to be in for that particular point of sail.
Interesting. And presumably also, because you've got this V and because both are in the water, as you go faster the boat lifts out, so therefore less foil is in the water,
That's right.
creating less lift. And that's where you get the self-levelling
Exactly,
from.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the, presumably there's a T-foil, yes, there's a T-foil
The T-foil on the
rudder.
rudder, but no pitch control, nothing on that.
Really?
It's just fixed. You don't need it with twin foils.
What we should say is, who's this for? I mean, presumably it's for all age ranges. What about weight ranges?
Yeah, so we do 2 sails for this boat. We do a 7.5 metre square sail. So if you're 65 kilograms or above, that's a good sail to sail with. This is a 9.5 metre square sail. So you really, you could sail this as a fairly heavy person. For optimum performance with the foils, we don't really want to go above 95 kilograms in the boat. Once you get above that, the foils don't work in an efficient way. So 65 to 95 with 2 different sails works really well. Of course, the windier it is, and if you're, I'm 83 kilograms, I'll go out with a 7.5 metre sail because, I have a lot of fun with it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. It's a fascinating looking boat. There's just one problem with this boat. I want one.
Yeah.
Not everything at this show is about being the latest. The GP14 will be familiar to many people, and this is an absolutely beautiful example of one. Tell us about this boat.
This boat is 70 years old. It's the number 2, second boat built ever. It was actually built by Bell Woodworking, the people who went on to make the kits. I think this was their trial run. Okay. And in fact, when we were redoing it, we discovered a few things that they hadn't done very well, and we've improved it. But you can see that this is very much the original boat. It's got all the frames, all the stringers, the hog and gunnels, and it's got the wooden floorboards. So it's very much still in its original condition. And if you're looking up, you can see that we found 1950 cotton sails to go with it.
Amazing.
They don't look great in here, but a little bit of breeze and suddenly they'll have a lot of fullness with them.
And this boat still sails?
This boat last sailed about 20 years ago.
Oh, really?
And leaked a lot, but it's about to go back on the water this year. It's been huge restorations been done on it. It's now saleable. We'll give it some better sails, and it will be going to a number of events, including our 70th anniversary in Wales, in Abu Dhabi, where the first fleet of GPs sailed, and also to our World Championship in Skerries in July. And there will be, in Skerries, there will be an event for classic boats who will not be required to necessarily sail the full course, and there may be a little bit of cruising as well.
How many have been built in the 70 years that it's been around?
The numbers are up to about 14,300.
Crikey.
But we know a lot of boats got built and were never registered. So we think there's probably over 20, maybe 25,000 boats altogether, because particularly in the 60s and 70s, a lot of people built the boat and never registered with the class, never got a certificate. They just went off sailing. It is.
So in the UK, where are the hot spots for GPs?
Oh, well, South Staff is the hot spot, but there are a lot of other big clubs around. In the north it's very strong, but also we've got people in Portsmouth, in Welsh Harp, in Wales, and of course there's good class in Ireland as well.
Right.
We probably get bigger national championships than almost any other class, certainly any other two-man class. I've always had a GP since I was 16.
Really?
So that's 60 years.
And you're still racing now?
Oh yes, I'm still reasonably competitive, in fact. So,
Fantastic.
It's great fun.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about it. It's a fantastic boat, and all the best for this year's anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much indeed.
Right, great stuff.
Now, there's not many people who have won a couple of Olympic medals, won the Volvo Ocean Race, skippered an America's Cup boat, and now one of the big wigs at the RYA. This man has, Ian Walker. You've done all of those things, and here we are at the Dinghy Show. I mean, this is sort of the heart of it for you, I suppose.
Yeah, I love the Dinghy Show. I've always loved the Dinghy Show, and actually my first memories show how give my age away now, but my first memories are from Crystal Palace, and from taking my mirror. I never forget when I was asked by the class association if I would take my boat to the show, and it was like all my Christmas had come at once. So it's. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's a big social occasion. You get to see all the amazing boats, but I think as we talked about before, I think the commodity that's on sale here is passion. Everybody here is passionate about the sport, and that's what I love about it.
What's caught your eye here? You've had a little look around. Is there anything that's really grabbed your eye?
You can't get past the Merlins, can you? I mean,
No,
whenever I see these boats, I think, who on earth thought about all these fittings and everything they're doing? Do you really need all this stuff? But I mean, they're absolute works of art, and that's one end of the spectrum. And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got a Wayfarer that sailed around the world, around Britain non-stop, and the GP14. Hull number 2, I think it is. So, and actually, that's got just as many people looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think I detect a bit of that. I think I detect a little bit of, enthusiasm for some of the older classes, and it's great to see. It's great to see boats that I grew up sailing, like the Graduate, the Fireflies, the Enterprises, the Albacores, Scorpions. It's great to see those classes still here, still represented, with some new ideas, a little modern twist, maybe a bit of roach on the mainsail or whatever it might be. And still people wanting to go sailing in them.
There's also a mirror. Did you see the mirror out there with a tent on it? Someone's actually sleeping in a mirror. I didn't think it was long enough, but apparently it is.
I've never slept in a mirror. I think I slept in my International 14 once at the Worlds, but only because we'd run out of money.
But then at the other end of the scale, certainly one of the things that caught my eye was the number of, yet again, new foiling boats that have come out. There's a Skeeter here, which is a kid's foiling boat, which rather surprised me. I hadn't seen it before.
I saw that from a distance actually, and I made a mental note. I need to go and have a look at that. But the whole topic of foiling and what is the right appropriate age for people to be foiling, whether it's in a junior catamaran class or in a boat like the Skeeter, and then the RYA are working with their guidance around what is the right equipment, when should you wear helmets or not wear helmets, what kind of body armour is appropriate. All of these things are new and having to be addressed. But I'm in two minds. On the one hand, it's great to see all the new boats and ideas, but on the other hand, we have so many boats already. And personally, I've never been a big snob about what I've sailed. I like sailing for the competition, the camaraderie, and I think you can do that just as much in an old sort of traditional class as some of the racier classes.
Now, I mean, Ian is a man of impeccable taste. He races an RS 400. Obviously, I'm not biased at all. What would you, I saw you eyeing up an International 14 earlier on?
Actually, I was really impressed with that boat because I think what they've really done is simplified it as well, which then I think might broaden the appeal of the boat. Even though I'd be a bit slow getting across the boat, I could actually look at that boat and I think, I could probably sail that still. And part of that is because of the way they've simplified the design and the fact the crew does all the work now.
Now, you mentioned Olympic sailors, and of course this is an Olympic year. Give us a bit of an overview as to where we are with the British team. How's it looking?
So the team is now fully selected, so that's 15 sailors, and we'll have I think we've something like 25 support staff behind those sailors, either on or off the water. A lot of them have been down in the Southern Hemisphere doing World Championships. RSX finished today, the laser radials I think also finished today, or maybe it was yesterday. And we've also had the 49er and the NACRA and the FX in recent weeks. So a lot of sailors have been down there, and they're now coming back to Europe. And of course, we're getting close to the start of the European season. We've got Parma. It tends to be a big draw for a lot of people. And to be honest, we're fingers crossed, hoping that these regattas won't get influenced by the coronavirus, which obviously is more and more prevalent in the news. So we've got a European season culminating in European Championships, and then come May, the sailors will be off to Japan, trying to get as many hours in on the water. And we've got a good team. We've got a really strong team. Hand on heart, I say we've got a medal hope in every single event. They won't all medal, I can tell you that right now. As it's always the case, some people will do better than expected. Some people will not have the best week of their lives. That's sailing, we know that. Some won't get the conditions they want, but I'm confident we've got a really good group of sailors. We've got really good coaching staff. We're going to be the best prepared we've ever been for an Olympics.
Really?
But it's not getting any easier to win Olympic medals.
Well, one of the great things about this dinghy show is the number of people that you bump into. Everybody from grassroots sailors to Olympic rock stars, and here's a couple of them, Luke Patience and Chris Grube. What have you seen here that's caught your eye?
I've seen two things at the end of the spectrum that's caught my eye. There's a load of new foiling boats here that I hadn't even seen before, and they look like they're designed to be more favourable to user-friendly than the Moth is obviously a wicked fast thing. It's not very user-friendly though, and it costs a lot of money. So I don't even know what they're called, but there's a few things that have got wider hulls, probably a more stable platform for when they're not foiling. Quite like the look of that. But I was looking at a Flying 15 earlier, and I was chatting to some of the guys
Doesn't
there.
make you a bad person.
No, I'm an old-fashioned sailor at heart, so I would choose that kind of boat anyway. So I kind of thought, I'd like to get in the Flying 15. And I'm a big, muscly guy as well, so it suits me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
no question. How about you, Chris? What's caught your eye?
I'd say, I mean, I'm quite a fan of the Moth. You know, that's one of my things that I'd love to get back into after the games. So I've been having a good look around at that, and then there's a couple of interesting boats. Like there's a Merlin around the corner, which Joe Richards has designed, the blue one, which just looks fantastic. Dreadnought bow, and it looks fantastic. Yeah. But we don't get a lot of time to look around at these sorts of things, but I quite like just taking an hour at the end of the day, just have a stroll around and see what there is, and have a chat to friends, and that's good.
When you think about some of the world's most successful sports boats, one of those that rises straight to the top of the list is the SP20. And it was designed by this man, Tony Castro. First of all, Tony, how long ago was that when you designed the SP3?
Believe it or not, it's 19 years.
Was it really?
This year, yeah.
It's been a tremendous success, isn't it?
Yeah, really amazing. We just passed 800.
Really?
So we're down at almost 810 owners now. So can't complain really.
And a truly international boat as well, isn't it? A truly international class.
Absolutely. Very much so. And the events are very much distributed. We have all the championships, all over. Next year is Singapore, for example. We had Russia, we had Australia, Tasmania. We have fleets in Dubai. So just everywhere, which is really impressive.
It is, isn't it? Now you've got an interesting and exciting announcement about where this concept goes next.
Yeah, well, basically what happened is that some owners of SP20s ended up living in some areas of the world where there are not many others. So they were obviously, what shall I do with this? So they started racing in other fleets, sometimes under IRC, which of course allows almost anybody to compete. And also lately, in Italy in particular, they're quite keen on ORC. And so there's kind of a couple of people that started doing that. And then we got this Swiss owner, again, which is in one of the locations where there's not others. And he said, look, I'm sailing on ORC, but I really like to make a boat a bit more special, a bit more. So anyway, we start talking about it, and we said, why don't we make a version of a boat? Why don't we make a version of an SP20 that can do that kind of open racing, with less rules, if you like. You can make the boat in a different way. I mean, the one we're making now is an all carbon boat, carbon mast, carbon everything. So we're going to be about 150 kilos lighter than the standard SP20, and it could go further. I mean, we have a slightly different sail plane, a square main, a bit sexy, different kind of boat.
How much do you think that'll affect the performance?
Well,
I mean, it will obviously, but
of course it will. I mean, we have a little bit more stability, even in pure righting moment, only about 5% more. We kept the standard keel and appendages, only they are carbon as opposed to glass. To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I cannot tell you if the guy is going to arrive at that mark, 10 seconds or 30 seconds early. But I mean, 150 kilos is a hell of a lot. So, I mean, in terms of pure acceleration, it's going to be quite a lot different. So I'm hoping that it'll be good enough for that kind of sailing. It's not going to be a one design in principle.
No, but it's interesting. I mean, you say, 150 kilos. What does the boat weigh at the moment?
Altogether 620.
Right, crikey. So that's a huge gain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess one of the big things you're going to see is that transitional point where you get onto the plane downwind. It's going to be a completely different boat.
Completely different boat.
Yeah. What's caught your eye here?
Well, there's lots of things I would love to buy. One thing that caught me today was the OK Dinghy. Because when I was a kid, about 14, there was a wooden one dumped on a corner of my sailing club, and I asked my elders, what's that? And they said, oh, that's a boat that nobody likes to sail because it's a bit difficult. And so I said, oh, can I borrow it? So I borrowed this OK Dinghy. I remember it had this very small little cockpit that hurt my legs like hell. It was very hard. And it was one of the first times that I capsized in the middle of the river on my own, without other people around me. So I remember those two incidences. But the boat was so at the time, of course, so challenging. And now I saw one here. It looks so great, with a new deck and padded sides and all the colored ropes. And I felt,
There we go.
Buy one of them.
I can see you walking out of here with one.
Not only that, I was checking. They have the World Championships in England.
They do.
This summer, so
You've talked yourself into it already.
almost.
Of all the big names in the sailing world, Musto is of course one of the biggest and well known for their innovation in clothing over the years. I'm here with Emma Jackson to show me something new that's just come out, isn't it? Tell me about the latest thing that's come out of Musto.
Yes, so for Spring Summer 20 we've got our new Sunblock Dynamic range, which is a really exciting moment in our dinghy collection for us. So it's been designed from the problem of having hot and humid conditions, which our British sailing team sailors and the other sailors across the world will be having this summer out on the other side of the world. And what we found is, obviously neoprene is a wonderful material, but in hot and humid conditions, that's far too hot, you're going to overheat. So we've come up with the Sunblock Dynamic range. This is using a new technology for us, which is xylitol, and that technology cools the surface temperature of the body once it's wet. It's the same technology as used in chewing gum, so when your mouth cools down, this is what you'll experience with the garment as well. So it's really exciting. Musto is all about innovation, and it's something that we've brought to the market through that. The other great thing about this product is it's UPF 50 as well, so protecting you from the sun, those harmful rays that you will be experiencing out on the water, especially with it reflecting off the water as well.
It's a bit like a rash vest, isn't it? I mean, you've got a couple there.
Yeah, I've got a few here. So as
it's
you
quite
can
a
see,
light, stretchy material, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've got that flexibility that you need for all those different classes out on the water. You've still got the movement, but you've still got the protection as well. So you might not notice, let me just get this one up. So this is the pant version. So as you can see on here, you've got the reinforced backside and knees. So it's still a durable product, but it's allowing you to be cool at the same time.
It's almost a bit of an alien concept in the UK to have something quite as light as this, even in the middle of summer, isn't it?
It's not often we get to use it, although last summer I think it was needed with that hot spell.
Yeah, but it's very interesting, isn't it? And a completely new fabric, as well as the treatment.
Yes, so new fabric. So the UPF 50 as well is a treatment that is in the fabric rather than a wash on top. So you get a few years down the line of this product, it's still going to protect you from the sun as well.
So there we have it, just some of the people and some of the boats throughout this year's show. Now, if you're already planning next year's show, remember, it won't be at Alexandra Palace, it's moving to Farnborough. Still, at least you'll be able to fly a private jet there. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for watching. We're on Facebook now, so keep an eye out for us there as well. And please do make sure you subscribe, because it's going to be a bumper season and we're going to be there. Until next time.
I'm feeling